Hello, ladies.
Hi.
What up? What up? Happy Wednesday. Good to see your faces. Maria, I saw Maria like 2 hours ago. Welcome back.
Thanks.
So I wanted to get on this one.
I'm so happy to see you here, Celeste. I saw your cute outfit on Instagram.
Thank you.
Sometimes it's nice to just get up, get dressed for ourselves and stay in the house. I love it.
Yeah, just going to school in Taekwondo today. Definitely nowhere special.
Wait, what happened?
Just went to school in Taekwondo today for my daughter.
Ooh,
So,
fun. She's a little badass.
she is. She got a stripe test tonight, so
Hmm.
first orange purple belt stripe.
Oh, that's so exciting. Tell her congrats. How old is she?
She's 5.
5. Oh, that's fun.
Oh,
That's fun. Yeah, Jennifer, you would love it. Celeste's daughter's in Taekwondo.
that's cool.
I know Jen is a big kickboxer, so
I used to do
Yeah.
kickboxing back in the day. Loved it.
I
I
think
used
that
to,
Yeah.
I had a stint. I had a stint with it when I was trying to find my thing back in the day. All
It's
right.
really good. I like, the coach that I have because there's a couple different coaches in our kickboxing place. But this guy is he's a fighter. I guess they all kind of come from a fighting background, but
Mhm.
um he I think he doesn't talk about it a lot, but I found a picture of him with an Olympic like at the belt.
Oh, wow.
And so but anyway, when I go at 7:15 in the morning, which is what I went today, I just said, I'm tired. So I just, whatever. And he goes, okay. And he always checks in and asks, how you doing or whatever. I said, I just need to move a little bit, but I never know what he's going to do. And usually nobody's there at 7:15. So it's like I get a private workout with him and it's awesome. So
Ooh,
today we just did like footwork and we didn't even work on the bag, and he like put me on this my brain just went, I don't know what I'm trying to say. A band that's like hooked to the wall to give a little bit of resistance. And he
oh,
just had
that's
me do
cool.
some mitt work with him. So really it was just arms today. But it was interesting. And then because usually we're working on the bag, and he said, no, I want you to take everything that we do. Sometimes we'll do like a little 3-pound, whatever. And he said, I want you to move around. And he said, because so many times you just get freaked out when you are in a different situation, because you're so focused on the one bag, and then can you do that same thing over here? Yeah, so it's pretty cool.
Ooh.
I never know what we're going to do. It's always a mental challenge.
I had the best flexibility when I was doing it, I remember, because they always made us do crazy stretches, like partner stretches, and they would make you stretch to like beyond your normal point of stretching. Keep stretching. In the end, I just had
Yeah,
really good ability.
That reminds me of
yeah.
ballet classes when we did partner days. It was a whole different ball game.
I can still roundhouse kick someone to the head, so I kept that.
It's when I start closing things, I'm like, oh, hit the fridge door, and you start using your feet a little bit more than you used to.
I
It's
love it. Jen, you're back from your cruise. It looked like it was amazing.
Oh, we did, and then we're leaving Tuesday. I don't know if I'm coming or going.
Ah,
Do you have like a pass or something? How do you keep going on all these
No, you see
cruises?
what happens is I get up really early. So I go to bed really early. So my husband gets bored and he goes to the casino and he gambles a little bit and he wins free cruises.
Oh, that's what
Wow.
it is. Wow.
okay, so you're saying
But
Crazy.
it didn't,
send
yeah,
the
it didn't
dogs to
start
the
that.
casinos on the low carb cruise so we can get
Yeah. Yeah. We didn't even know about that until we met another couple. They're like, yeah, we cruise free through the casino, and Gary and I don't gamble. So we're like, how do you do that without spending all your money, So he just kind of has a little limit, but the last time he won a jackpot, it was just a total freak thing. I'm like, well, quit while you're ahead, let's sock that away. Don't spend it. But we had been saving. We were supposed to go to Europe this year. We were going to spend 18 months in Germany. And then when my daughter got sick, we decided, let's just travel. We didn't want to stop our plans once we kind of got her a little bit stable where we could get away. But cruising left us a nice option. And it's good for him because he's in IT. So he can not be accessible. So it's a real vacation for him. But he's gonna have to start working now because we got so many cruises. He's gonna have to work on the cruise.
I've never wanted to go on a cruise before, but since I've been seeing all your photos, I told my husband, I'm like, I'm actually considering it, like, because it would be kind of convenient, like as a family vacation, to have everything in one spot. But he's like, no way in hell. He's like, we'll be the ones getting sick, and you'll get like seasick, because I get seasick, like even on a docked boat, like I don't feel good, any movement, like, so I don't know if I could tolerate it.
And you never know, because there's some that I've been on and it was like, wow. But I
Oh,
don't
really?
get too bothered. Yeah, especially on the larger ships, you don't really notice it as much, but the smaller ones, it doesn't take much,
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been a challenge. I went through my cut on 2 cruises and then trying to revert. And so, yeah, it was a challenge.
If you want to see what you're made of,
Oh,
go on
yeah.
cruises and try to stay on track on a cruise. I did that on a low carb cruise last year because I was prepping. And
You get a lot of looks with
Yeah.
when you pull out the scale and they're like, what are you doing?
Hmm?
Like, who does that? I'm like, shut up,
Natalie,
leave
is
me
the low
alone.
carb cruise, like the entire cruise is low carb, or is it just a section of people?
No, it's just our group. And Maria,
Yeah.
I met Maria and Jennifer on the cruise last year. That's how we all met. It's a massive, like 5,000 person ship. Last year, I forget what it was. It was Royal Caribbean. Was it Royal Caribbean last year?
Yeah.
It was a really big ship last year.
Harmony.
And how many people are on the low carb part?
We only had about 200, I think, last year. It was smaller than it had been in past years. It was the first year that they brought it back after the shutdown.
I think you're over 300 now.
Yeah, this year is definitely looking, it could be double our group size from last year.
They must cap it off. I guess they only reserve a certain amount, because I saw it was sold out until next year or whatever.
Like 400-ish. Yeah.
Yeah, they plan way in advance for it. We were just talking with Debbie and how am I forgetting the other woman's name?
Kathy,
thank you. We just saw them at KetoCon and we were chatting with them, and she was saying that 2025 they're planning to do an Alaskan cruise. I definitely want to be on, because I've always wanted to go on an Alaska cruise.
Me too. Yeah, me too.
That would be cool.
2025, and then
Alaska was beautiful.
one more in between, but they have to plan, she said, more than a year, like a year and a half or more in advance.
I think next year's is open for you to book now.
Yeah, you can go ahead and book now for next year, exactly, and just pay a deposit, and you'll have a long runway before the rest of the money is due. But it's really cool because it's kind of like a conference on a ship. Like our group is like a conference group, like you would have at, not really KetoCon because it's massive, but the smaller conferences. So we have the days that we are at sea are conference days. So you're going to the talks and doing all that with the cruise group, with the low carb group on those sea days. And then on your docking days, you can still go off and explore the islands and whatever else. And then I think this year we're going to have more like social events, kind of a little more coordinated in the evenings. There's some things that they have, but last year it was like very minimal. Once again, it was like the first year back. But there's more speakers this year. It's going to be a blast this year. I think it's
I was always curious how that works. The guy that does my tattoos, he does a cruise, but they go and tattoo on the cruise ship. Like he and all the guys from the tattoo shop there's like 20 of them and they go, but I didn't know how it worked. I was like, so there's like 5,000 people on this cruise ship, but they must do like, I don't know how it works, if it's just a part of the group or what, but that makes more
Yeah.
sense.
I mean, cruises are really popular for groups. You know, you'll see
Yeah.
family reunions with like their t-shirts.
Everybody has the
You'll
same
see
shirt.
graduation groups. It's a really popular thing to do in groups because it's easy to coordinate. And
Did they have like a special menu? Is there a special like menu for the low carb cruise, or you just have to make do with what they have?
yeah, we just have to make do. What's interesting, so last year it was incredible. They had a really great wait staff. They have some like sugar-free desserts and stuff, which are still most of the time not like, if you're keto, especially if you're carnivore keto, like you're not really going to have options even with their sugar-free stuff.
Yeah.
I don't even know what they're putting in them. I think they had a little bit more tricky of a time working with them this year. So we may, I know Debbie, I don't know if she already sent it out. She may have already sent it out, but it's like instructions for dealing with the wait staff and the way to ask for things, because this year I guess they're maybe not as amenable as they were last year. Last year was fantastic. Our table in particular was pretty much all carnivore, and we just told them every night, everything we ordered, just bring the meat. And the guy would come by and go, naked plain, naked plain, like bring it to you naked. There's nothing on it.
That's funny.
So they figured it out pretty quickly, and then it was really easy there. And that's the other nice thing, is that you're sitting at the same tables every night at the same dining time and the same wait staff. So your waiter is going to be your waiter every night, and then you really get to know them. They get to know you. You get to know the people at your table really well. So it's an opportunity to like really develop deeper relationships with people that are on the cruise with you too. And our whole section of the dining room is all the low carb cruise. So you can go around the tables and say hi to people. And I think probably like the last night we started swapping tables, we'd be like, oh, we're gonna sit there and they're gonna sit here, so we could like get to know some other people at dinner. And then all
I've
the
never
other meals are on your own, so you can go to the buffets or anywhere else, and they have so many options.
That's cool.
How does that work out with like politics in this day and age?
Politics? What do you mean?
Like you're sitting at the same table having dinner with someone every night, and you have like a super left-wing liberal sitting next to a Republican. Like, how does that work out?
I have no idea. We didn't even have to broach any of that last year. And maybe it's because, you're there with people who have a common interest, like a common focus.
Something different to talk about. Yeah.
Well, what we're talking about at the dinner table is not like, we didn't even talk about politics once on that ship with anyone.
Okay,
Yeah.
I like it.
I mean, I suppose you may have people who are those kind of people who are going to be vocal about that stuff wherever they are, but I don't know, Maria, Jen, did you experience any of that?
Not on the low carb cruise, but the first solo cruise that I did, because we were working on, we met other couples on the low carb cruise, and they're retired and they have money and we don't. And so we're like, how do you get all this free stuff? And they're like, well, we're such and so status. And like you get points. And so if you're if you cruise a lot, whatever.
Yep.
So Gary found out, he's like, well, if you go on a solo cruise and we book this room, then you get extra points. And I'm like, well, I will take one for the team. That's awesome, So I went in November and they messed up my table. I was like, well, yeah, I'll just sit wherever, just put me at a group with 6 other people and that'll be nice. And they had me at a table for 2 with just one other older gentleman. And I was like, this is going to be really awkward because I don't, it's fine, but it's a lot of work, because like, what if he doesn't talk? Well, he had just lost his wife, like 6 months prior, and they cruised a lot, and he had a hearing aid. He couldn't hear me. It was a difficult night. They fixed it the next night. But yes, you have all these different things. So, sometimes you just smile and nod a lot, just stay neutral, no matter what people talk about, but that's what I do is, change the
I
subject.
just feel like of like carnivore influencers, there's a lot of like really outspoken people that have a lot of like ideas about things, and I just in my head I see that like, I don't know, possibly causing conflict, but maybe it doesn't. Maybe everyone's just talking about meat. I don't know.
From my experience on the low carb cruise, I wouldn't say, I don't
Well-
know, like Keto Con this year had a ton of carnivores, but low carb cruise is more general, like people at all different levels of low carb.
Yeah, in fact, Fred, Maria, we were at a table together, right?
Yeah.
I don't think he ate everything. He doesn't drink, but man, he had pasta, you know, he was like, I am on a cruise and whatever. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to eat like that. I want to be so
Yeah.
in such a good place, you know, but sadly, I don't think this will be me because I
Yeah.
only have to look at that stuff and I blow up like the
Mhm.
Goodyear blimp. It doesn't take very much, but
Mhm.
I just thought that was really nice, you know, that I didn't know who he was. I'd never heard him speak before. I thought he was on the low carb cruise. Like I didn't know he was a speaker.
You're
I
like,
was
what's
embarrassed.
going on? Why is this guy
Yeah,
eating
because
this
I didn't
stuff?
know, but he was a fascinating person and really just genuine. And yeah, I didn't, and I'm like, you're a carnivore? Like I see him on Instagram and he's like, and I'm like, the crap he was eating was great. I loved it because he was just in his lane, you know, kind of like what, you know, Natalie, like you're just on your journey. And I
Yeah.
love that. I love that.
Celeste, they do send out a notice to people before that, you know, the no carb police. And so I
Yeah.
think in general, people will extend that to other topics too. So people seem to behave for the most part.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I was gonna say they do great with that. They send that out a few times to remind everybody, like, don't be the carb police. Don't be
Yeah.
looking at everybody else's plate, judging. Like, this is a cruise, and we're gonna have all this available to us, and like let people do what they're gonna want to do. And you're right. I think you just kind of think about the fact that you're with other people, and you have to.
The
You know,
same with fitness too. I thought I appreciated when they said that because I had never experienced that before, being made fun of for being fit. So
oh,
that was like a whole nother head game. I'm like, okay, I've been fat for 30 years. I've been made fun of. I've been gotten the looks and whatever. And now I'm finally healthy. And now people are like turning on me and saying other things or whatever. And I'm like, well, whatever,
win.
because you can't win no matter what you do. But I was not prepared for that at all. So I appreciated that they said something about that. You know, don't shame other people if they want to get up at 5 o'clock and go to the gym.
yeah,
You
fit
know?
shaming is a real thing. Fit shaming is just as real as fat shaming out there. And
Yeah.
I feel for my ladies who've been on both sides and got it on both sides. But I think your point, to your point, Jen, like that's what it's all about is, hey, you know what? People are always going to have something to say. So F them.
Well, I think that really helped me get over myself.
Yeah.
Really, because I just worried so much about what people thought about me and am I doing this or that or whatever. And finally, when I got to the other side and I'm like, you know what? Screw it. I don't care. You know, so it just made me so mad. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna do whatever.
Right. It goes to show that it's like if we're doing this for someone else, they're going to be whoever they are and they're going to react however they're going to react regardless.
Regardless, exactly.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Wait,
Anybody have anything going on this
Hi.
week you want to talk about? Any questions or things that have come up for you?
Other than I was starving all day today, I already told you that. It's like, what is wrong with me? I have more calories than ever, and I'm like ravenous today. But I think it was, yeah, just a combination of things. But you kind of answered that in our chat, so
Yeah, and it's
just
interesting because that was another theme that came up recently was this hunger around the cycle, like increased hunger and cravings but usually hunger and some
yeah,
cravings right before the bleed,
yeah.
leading up to. And
Well,
I I feel like I read something about that at some point. I've been kind of interested in these books about cycles and training and eating for your cycle and stuff like that, taking it all with a grain of salt, of course. But I've definitely noticed that with myself. I've noticed it with more and more clients, and I'm like, yep, this is definitely a thing.
A
I'm
thing.
now of the opinion that our metabolism, like we get a rev right before the bleed that makes us want more, like we're needing more. And if we eat more, then we can actually handle more. But a couple different sides of this coin came up this week with two different clients, right? I had a new client, it was a new client, newish client, who I was like, okay, buckled. Oh, one of my comp prep clients, buckle down during that time. You're going to be hungrier, but now is the time to stick to it.
Hold
Because
steady,
if
yeah.
you do, you're going to see the scale drop when all is said and done. If you don't, if you let those cravings get the best of you during your cycle, either during the bleed or before, you're going to see that increase and it's not going to come back down. And I think, Mary Grace, you've probably been there before too, where you're like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I actually lost during my cycle. What in the world?
Yeah.
And now you're on the other side where we're reversing, and I'm like, yeah, lean into that. Give yourself some extra. Your body
Yeah.
can feel it right now. Your body wants it right now. Take it right now. So depending on where you are in your journey, and this is just another example of how I always talk about context, because I literally had to answer that same question in 2 days to two different people in two very different ways.
In two different ways. Yeah. And now that you say that, that's true. I mean, I've always joked that most people gain that weight during their cycle. And I usually drop weight right at my cycle. But I think you're right. I've been so used to just holding tight, get through these next 3 days, and then I get the whoosh or whatever. But today it was like, this is crazy, because I was thinking, all right, I've got now 500 more calories a day. I should be fine. And it still happened. And
Yeah.
it was like, what in the world is going on today? But that makes sense. Now that we're really just trying to maintain, then that whoosh isn't
Necessary.
important. It's not necessary. So
we don't
to
want to
get-
keep having that. You had a whole new low again last week.
last week. Yeah.
And I think this is also a function of we're building your metabolism.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're even more ravenous right now is telling me we're actually, this is what should happen during a reverse. You're getting hungrier. It means your body wants more. It means body's going to be able to handle more as we keep giving it more. And then when and if you even ever do another cut, you're going to have a lot more calories to play with.
Which is really cool, because then maybe instead of having to cut down to 1,300, then maybe you just cut down to whatever, 1,500 or something. Yeah. Yeah. That makes
I
sense.
went back and looked at my DEXA scans because Bronson posted something about that this week. I can't remember what it was, but I was curious. And my BMR has gone up 150 calories in the past couple of years. Yeah.
Yep. It's a function of the lifting for sure.
That's cool. I've got my DEXA scheduled for next Friday. So not 2 days from now, but 9 days from now. So that'll be super interesting to see. Because I think I did the last one 10 days before we started the reverse.
Yeah.
So it'll be very interesting.
I can't wait to see. This will be fun.
Yeah.
My last DEXA was disappointing, but that's okay.
I had dealing with the middle of having COVID when you had it. I was like,
COVID and my period.
I would have pushed you to change it.
Some inflammation and stuff. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Inflammation and water.
So what's the excuse for hunger if you don't have a cycle anymore? I've been so hungry the last 2 days, and I'm like, oh my God.
Well, in your case, Jen,
I'm done eating for today. And I'm like, okay, I'm going to go to the meeting, because if I don't, I'm going to have to go to bed just to forget myself, or I'm going to vacuum or something.
Well,
it's usually on a day my rest days are the worst, because it's like, all right, I'm trying to rest. I'm trying not to be busy, but then, it's not like I'm bored because there's stuff to do. But I'm always way hungrier on my rest. Not that I rested today, but I didn't really lift. But it was I feel like I just ate. And I'm like ready to eat again. And I'm like, it's been, 3 hours. And then I had lunch, and then I'm like 2 hours later, I'm like, okay, I need a snack. What's happening? So
Well, that's me too, Jen. Yeah, because today was my
Yeah.
rest day. I didn't lift today. And then also I've been doing all these preparations for the trip. I leave 2 weeks from tomorrow. So like now it's like real deal bottom line. But anyway, the people that are going to rent our house came over last night to do like the walkthrough and stuff. But I've been building to that moment, like where I've been like working so hard to like have everything
Mm.
ready and like try and get them to rent the house or whatever. So I think that also like I allowed myself to like just sit today. And I think that had to do too, maybe with the hunger, like resting rather than being so busy. All of a sudden it's 6 o'clock
Yeah.
and it's time to get the kids ready for bed. I like sat down and felt the hunger for sure.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely a couple of things going on there. And then a couple more things specific to Jennifer that I think other people may resonate with as well. But with the whole rest day thing, this is why, like, I just recently got a question about, do I really need to keep my macros consistent on training days and rest days? Why am I not eating less on my rest days? Shouldn't I be eating more on my lift days and less on my rest days? Should I change my macros, right? And I got a lot of these questions for people coming out of keto gains too, because they were used to adding the pre-workout on top of their regular macros for lifting days. And they were like, should I change my macros? I'm like, no, stay the same on your rest days and your training days. If anything, you're going to be hungrier on your rest days because your body is now trying to recover and repair and build. That's where the building happens, right? You had tears, micro tears all over the muscles you worked. You now have to give it that break. And now it needs the fuel. Now it needs the recovery, the proteins, the building blocks to build that. So it's asking for more in between the training rather than always on the training day. And some people experience it the other way around on their training days are hungrier. I've always experienced it with rest days being more hungry. And then there is also if you have more time in your day. So you're just not as busy because
Right.
one less thing to fit in that day. And now you have more idle time for your mind to think about, food, to think about hunger, to actually feel what your body's feeling. It may not be that you're necessarily not hungry on those other days. You're just distracted by all the things to do.
Yeah.
And so when you have less to do in your day, you notice more, those hunger signals. But specific to Jennifer, and for those of you who've been on a deficit for a period of time, and in Jennifer's case, I would say a significant deficit. It's not a small deficit. It's not Maria has been in a very small, very careful, slow progression deficit. We have barely had to change her macros. It's been a little bit here and there. So she doesn't experience extreme hunger. But Jennifer's been on a challenge. The way they ran that challenge is the way you run a contest prep. She has been dropping. You've been dropping. Your macros have been dropping. And you're on higher carb and lower fat. Pretty significantly low fat, if I might add. Carbs are going to drive hunger. Fat with protein is very satiating. So when we do play with more carbs, and Mary Grace, we just bumped her carbs up too. Are we making connections here? Higher carbs are going to equal more hunger. Higher cardio is going to equal more hunger. So Jennifer, I think today was your kickboxing.
Yeah.
Day. Boom.
Yeah.
Right there, cardio and carbs, it's like the C's are hunger drivers. So I think all of those things are at play, but I think we're also in a place where we're doing and we're going to be doing all the right things to bring that at bay. In reverse, we're going to keep slowly creeping up that fat to find your threshold, pulling down those carbs to find your balance, and finding the balance with your cardio and your training. And as we do all of those things, you may stay hungry for a little while. It does take a while at the end of a cut to get your hunger and satiety signals back on track. A lot of the time, we can bring your food back. We can get you to that place where it's awesome, but you may still be feeling some of that. There's usually like a little bit of
Yeah.
a,
I have to say, surprisingly, this was not unmanageable. You know, going through, I expected it, I think, to be a little more difficult, but I think it wasn't any different than any other diet I've ever done
Mhm.
in terms of like my hunger. It wasn't like I can't do it. I didn't have obsessive thoughts about food all the time. Because that can happen, you know, if you diet a whole lot or you get too hungry and then you just go off the deep end and then you don't even care. The
Yeah.
one bite of whatever and then it's all bets are off. And so I didn't ever feel like that. But it's just been interesting coming after the cruise that the last couple days, because I know I was not in any way, shape, or form in a deficit on the cruise. I didn't have a scale, so I just kind of guesstimated
Mhm.
amounts. And so I knew I was eating probably more calories, but because as soon as I came back yesterday and today, when I got back on Monday, and yeah, so the hunger has been a little bit higher and it sometimes comes in waves. So it's not horrible, you know, but still it's
Yeah,
when you notice
now
it.
that now that you mentioned that too, that's right. When you have like a diet break like that or a refeed, like had it been a, and I don't know if you've been noticing this because you did have refeeds on your challenge. Did you ever
Mhm.
notice like the day after a refeed you were more hungry, or 2 days after the refeed you were more hungry?
Um, Not necessarily hungry. I just know on the refeeds, I was like, this is awesome. Having the extra
Ready for
calories,
the
but
refeed. Refeeds are a little
but
more because refeeds are. Go ahead.
what I did notice is that when the small amounts feel like a lot,
Mhm.
Yeah.
especially if you're in a deficit. So just having like 5 or 10 extra grams of whichever one it is. It doesn't even really matter. And at some point, I think we went up in the protein too and everything. And so then it was like, wow. And so when you readjusted my macros, I'm like, where I'm at right now, I'm like, I really love this because it's the amount of carbohydrates that I like, but I'm really tired of pork loin. I don't even like pork loin. I'm tired of fish. You know, it's like I'm having ribeye, you know, and having some, I want more than one egg because when you're cutting fat, it's just very limiting. And
Mhm.
so, yeah, so it's nice to be able to add some things back that I like to eat.
Yeah. Yeah. And yeah, so I would say your cruise experience was probably more like a diet break than a
Yeah.
right? And a diet break, refeeds do have a little bit of a different, yeah, refeeds give you that satisfaction in the moment, but are not so much that it's prompting now you feel like you're really going back into the hole afterwards. You usually don't feel it. My coach likes to call it going into the hole, but you don't feel
Yeah.
it until you get to maybe day 7, maybe day 10. Before the refeed, you start to feel it again. But with a diet break, it's like, especially if you're kind of unsure of where you're at, right? Like it's not measured like a refeed is. And then both your body and your brain kind of feel like, yippee. And then we go back to this, what we were doing before. And now it's like the body's
Yeah.
feeling different. So I think
Yeah.
that's playing in with your hunger as well. It's like, wait,
Yeah.
what?
I didn't think about that.
We're dialing
Yeah.
in again?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But it's church, and I was thinking that too. Like sometimes we'd have a week where she's like, "All right, you get 10 more carbs," and I'm like, "Oh God, what's gonna happen? I'm gonna start gaining weight." And then I'm like, "Hang on, that's like 40 calories."
I know, right?
It's like, wait,
I
I think that's gonna make the huge difference. It's the cumulative effect, but it feels
Yeah.
good. And it's like now I'm like, I wrote somebody, oh, my neighbor who's also a private client of Nat's, and I'm like, she wrote me and was like, how do you only eat 20 carbs a day? And now I'm like writing her and I'm like, how do you eat 50 carbs a day? Like,
I know.
can you help me figure this out?
Yeah.
She told me that the other day. She's like, "Oh my gosh, Mary Grace is asking me, wait, how do I do this the other way around?"
Yeah, I can tell you how to not eat carbs. You tell me how to eat carbs, please. I think I'm finally getting the
Yeah.
hang of it this week. You know, I kept like we were playing with it. Like jump in between the 40 and the 50. And now this week I'm trying to like get closer to that 50, but really I do have to, like, when I was doing like 80 grams of cauliflower rice, now I get 150, and adding strawberries to my breakfast. This is unheard of. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love it. I love this concept of like, it's changing the way we think about it. We don't have to fear carbs. We understand what happens. Like, okay, you may get 10 more. And yeah, that's not going to do anything. Like 40 calories is not going to do anything. And or depending on what you put in, Mary Grace experienced it. Oh, I'm feeling bloated. Okay, gotta chill out with whatever that
Yeah.
was, like,
Yeah.
maybe not that food next time,
Oh yeah.
I had
Yeah,
the
like
same.
really, yeah, like really trying to figure out which carbs don't cause me sort of that inflammation or that bloat or whatever. And I've really found that it's like it's still the same things that you would do, with keto or low carb. It's like sticking to the green leafy vegetables, sticking to berries and things like that. Now try and get smart and make some protein of that Maria Emmerich's protein bread and put allulose in it. And I was like a balloon, so it's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. I found that when I started adding more carbohydrates, that I started reacting to more leafy greens, and I had never had that happen before. So I had to really start figuring out what is the right amount of the leafy greens that I feel. And then I discovered some leafy greens are okay, like kale and spinach. I'm like, but if I have other like microgreens, I could have the same broccoli, or microgreens are easier for me. And it's not like this humongous bowl full of what. But I think what was cool for me is that realizing, because for a long time I was freaked out about carbohydrates.
Carbs, yeah.
Because even if, I don't know if you know my story, but I came from eating big salads. And I was doing keto and I stalled for a long time. So I was really nervous about adding those foods back. And then, but as I started measuring things and being really precise, I'm like, this is really not a lot of carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Even 40 or 50 or even, 80 grams is not, a lot in terms of what in my brain I was thinking. 80, when you're coming from 5 or 10 carbs or 20 carbs, 80 seems like this massive amount. So just in my own mind, coming to terms with that, and then getting to choose and, what I want to do and how I want to do it. But, and having fruit and things that I enjoy that I haven't had in like years and years and years. It's, and then I can just choose, and it's really nice place to be. That I don't have to be afraid of it. My body is okay doing these things. And then you just figure out where you feel best.
Right. Yeah. Which foods work for you the best. Yeah. You get to play and experiment.
And that playing and experimenting too, because like it still kind of goes back to the black and white, or that like perfectionism a little bit. Like I was telling you, like you give me my macros and I want you to see on my chronometer, I want you to see that I hit those macros, right? And then she's like, play with the carbs. Like some days do 40, some days do 50. I'm like, but then you're not going to see that you're not going to see my perfect 50. Dang it. And so to be like, okay, where you're telling me today you're more hungry, eat a little bit more, and then maybe tomorrow don't eat all 50 carbs, and it's like, okay, this is weird. I'm not following the rules anymore. Are these new rules?
Oh my gosh, I'm so glad. I know Tori's listening in, but Tori's new. I don't know, I think I introduced Tori, Jen, and a couple of others in the group this week. But this is perfect for Tori because she falls right in that same camp, that perfectionism camp. So I think she was meant to be on here tonight.
Totally, because I'm not going to hit my carbs today, and I'm like, is that a bad thing? Should I hit my carbs? Should I not hit? How important are carbs? And then you said berries. I'm like, oh, I could just eat berries because I'm like, I don't know how to eat anymore.
Oh my God, you guys, that reminds me. Have y'all seen that chat AI thing. Like the so I follow one of these other groups. I don't know if it's like Macros Inc. or like Women Who Lift Weight or one of those groups. And somebody was like, I'm just overwhelmed. Like, how do I hit my macros or whatever? And somebody was like, just go to the chat AI. So apparently you can like tell it, be like, okay, please give me a meal plan to hit 150 grams of protein, 20 grams of carbs, and 90 grams of fats or whatever. Hey, but let me just finish what I was going to say. And it will give you like a week-long meal plan. And then you tell it like, and create me a grocery list, and it'll create you a grocery list of like what area to the grocery store. So there's like no thought behind it. Or you could be like, hey, I have 10 grams of carbs and 3 grams of fat. Please tell me what I can eat. And it'll tell you like, eat a tablespoon of almond butter and 400 grams of strawberries or whatever it is. And it'll break it down for you. I'm like,
oh my
what in the
God.
world?
Post that in the group, because Bronson actually, he's into all the tech stuff, and he discovered that because he was like, oh my God, we could use this. Like,
It's
he
mind
showed me all the ways that we can use it. He's like, I think I could write a book using this.
blowing for real.
I was like, I could probably write my cookbook using it.
Totally.
My
Totally.
big problem is that I don't write recipes, right? I make meals and I take pictures of them, and I'm like, okay, if I take a picture of it, I'll remember whatever I put in it, and I'll just try to recreate it in the future. But I never like to try to write out the recipes, and that's why I don't have a recipe book yet. But
Right.
with GPT, I think I can make that happen.
You can totally make it happen. I was sitting in the car with my dad, and we had a work dinner last night, and he was like, oh, looking at it, I finally got him on Chronometer and stuff, and he's like looking at it, he's like, I have like 5 grams of protein, and he's like telling me what he had left, and I was like, da, 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 da. And I gave him like a screenshot of a list of what he could eat, and he's like, this is insane. Yeah. I'll make the
Where is
post.
the chat AI found?
So
What's that?
Web page? What?
the main one is called Chat GPT. You could just look at it, you could Google it, and they'll probably pull up
Okay.
what websites are. But I think there's different ones too. Google has
There's
one.
several different ones.
Yeah.
Glad it's just ladies on here, as he just put my bra on his face. Oh, buddy. Yeah. Yeah, it's really cool. My best friend, she has a business, and she said the same thing. She's like, has this dream. She does like Ayurveda and stuff. And she was like, I want to write a children's book. And she said that you can say like, write a book that's 1,000 words or characters or whatever you want about this theme with a focus on this, that's written in a Cinderella type story. And it will like write the dang book for you. It's crazy. I don't even know what to think.
You just have to be good at how you're, communicating to it, and what you're asking for it, and be specific about what you need. And it is pretty fascinating. Like Bronson showed me some stuff. We played around with it. I'll probably use it to write some blog posts that have been sitting around that haven't been written.
Yeah.
I've been wanting to turn my master classes into materials that I can provide for people.
Mom,
I bet
Mom,
it would be that.
Mom.
Really cool what we can do these days.
Yeah, you can have it, watch your
they're-
videos and write your stuff in your voice.
Stop it.
Yeah, so you just feed it your videos, and then you say all of this in one thing. You say, okay, I want you to summarize my videos. It'll summarize them for you. And then I want you to write me a blog post after you summarize them using my voice. Not your voice, like it'll write the words as you would speak them. So you can get really fancy with it.
Oh my
That's
God.
insane. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep, and it can generate 10 blog posts from one of your videos. Watch this video and generate 10 blog posts for me from it. And it'll do the titles, it'll do SEO
Wow.
valued titles and everything just from watching your video for you.
Oh
Pretty
my
cool.
gosh.
Wow.
I'm totally trying that.
I need to learn more about that. Wow.
I don't know. I have like mixed feelings. It's like mind blowing, but at the same time, it's kind of scary, like
Yeah.
all the possibilities. But
Yeah, right. Like anything else, like in the right hands.
right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Hands.
but it is cool for people who are just learning, you know, to get ideas and stuff like that.
And when you've done, like when you have a book of work out there, the reason I started doing the master classes is because I didn't have content out there. And I was like, how am I going to let people know what I do and see what I do without, like, I don't have the time to just write kind of blog posts and do a bunch of YouTube videos and like, but I was like, okay, if I start doing a master class a week, I mean, now I've been doing them for over a year. I have, 55 or so masterclass videos. And those are all unlisted. And then that did push me to also do some YouTube videos and some other things. But now it's done. And yeah, if I can take that and have something help me turn that into other pieces of content, that's powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah, eventually I want to have like a blog post, at least one blog post for each video topic, and a downloadable for each one, like a checklist, a cheat sheet, for each of those topics to kind of boil down my recommendations that help people understand the information better.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Totally looking into that. It's like having a staff member without having to pay a staff member.
Right.
I was like, I'm gonna need a virtual assistant or something.
Yeah. Oh, you got it. It's just, yeah, I think I did just like it was a 3-day trial or something on the app. I'm not sure how much if you wanted to keep the app, but I think it seems like it's worth it for, things like that for sure.
Oh yeah, I think coaches in particular, like, because we are
What
not.
was the name of the app?
Which one do you have?
It's the chat, let's see, GPT, is that what it is?
Oh, the Chat GPT one?
Yeah, it's, if you look it up on like Google, that's what it was, like the
Okay.
website, but then the app shows up as Ask AI.
Oh, I think I saw that's the one Google was pushing.
Ask AI is the one it gave me, and it might have been because Google made me do it.
Yeah, at some point I saw Google say, "Hey, don't you want to participate in such and such?" I didn't know what it was. I think I probably just deleted it. I should read those things.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to see. Yeah, Ask AI. And yeah, other stuff, like people ask me questions about, and I have information that I learned from you, but I don't necessarily like have all the words to do it. So like the other day, my husband was like, well, I think I'm gonna drop my protein and I'm gonna do this. And I'm like, no, importance of protein. So like I looked it up, I'm like, here. Smart words here online. But yeah, it's like a Google, but yeah, I don't know.
Oh my gosh, Tori just dropped a tutorial in the chat. So grab that link on YouTube and everybody's gonna do, this will be your homework tonight.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I'm gonna take that link and text it to myself. That way I have it. Yeah. There we go.
This short video,
Oops. There we go.
Thanks, Tori.
Thank you.
Cool.
Cool. I love it. We're gonna learn all kinds of new things. Well, we're almost at an hour. Does anybody have any other burning questions or anything you want to share before we hop off? Go for it, Tori.
I have a question. Is it important to hit your carbs? Like, what if you're way under your carbs?
Okay, for you, no. And for any of my clients that I set, most of the time, new clients, I'm setting a carb limit, and you can go anywhere from 0 up to that total. And yeah, the others, typically my rule of thumb when I'm setting macros for private clients is nail your protein like it's a minimum, and okay to go about 10 over, or even more if you're like really starving. Fat is, I want you to be within 10 grams of your fat macro. The closer, the better without going over. And your carbs, anywhere under is fine. Unless we're doing something like a reverse diet, the people who I have on reverse diets where we're slowly increasing their macros, then I'm going to tell them, okay, we need to be within range. My contest prep clients need to be like 1 gram, 2 grams off of anything in any direction. Like I want them, if anybody's going to be 100% on the macros, it needs to be my contest prep clients. Because when I change things, it's going to be very small changes, and I can't change it if it's already off.
Precise.
And in general, that goes for all clients, because if let's say you're under eating your fat by 20 or 30 grams, there's nothing I can do when things aren't working. Now I'm like, what? I got to go below where you've been, not where I set your macro, because you've already been below where I set your macro. So I always say just try to get in that ballpark as close as possible with the fat, but without going over. It's like a ceiling. But your carbs, yeah, you want to go 0 carb, that's totally fine. Although you're new to this, so don't go too crazy too soon, because your body won't be very happy with you.
I'm just trying to eat protein. I'm like, shoot, how do I get that much more protein? Bacon. Bacon has fat and protein.
Yeah, and that's always the trickiest thing. And there is a masterclass I just did in the group on the protein. Check that out, because that was like protein strategies, like how the heck are you
Mhm.
protein. And we talked about it, I think, last private chat. I think it was the last private chat, which was 2 weeks ago. We talked about egg whites, and pretty much always keep egg whites and shrimp in your household.
Mhm.
You can add those to
Found you
pretty much
guys.
anything. Oh, what is
Oh, I
this?
love those.
Epic.
These were on sale. I like liver, but also my daughter is severely iron deficient and her ferritin is like next to nothing. So we're having to supplement, and I'm hoping she's not going to need infusions, but I think this is part of why she's so sick. And she does not like liver, and she has a hard time with red meat, but these were on sale. So it's jerky, I guess. But I'm hoping that maybe if it hides in something, maybe I'll take it out of the package and say, oh, here's some jerky, but I'm going to taste it first. And I got these because remember I was telling you, like on the cruise, like the first day I'm always starving because it's just not enough. They always say that there's food 24/7. Well, there really isn't unless you want to have ice cream and garbage food. So if you're not eating just when those, meals are, you've got the pizza place and, whatever. And so I found myself not having, or because of where my macros are, if they didn't have fish options, like I even saw, okay, they had tuna salad, but I have no idea how much mayonnaise is in it. They have egg salad. So I'm like, dang, I should have just taken like a little sack, and at breakfast at the boiled eggs, just started taking them and put them in the fridge. I
Wrap
didn't
them in a
think about
napkin.
that. Yeah, but like I don't, and there's a lot of salt. Anyway, so the short story is I got these and I got these. There's 24 grams of protein in this stick.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's not terrible. Like I don't really love sausage. But it doesn't have like corn syrup and I got it at Whole Foods. So we're gonna try it and see. These are really great, like to stick in your purse or if I find that I'm coming up short, because one thing I'm trying to do, because my protein for me feels really high. Like I feel like, I would rather eat it. I would rather try to hit it with food, not drink it in a shake. And so I feel like naturally I could probably do less protein and be okay with it. But I don't really know. That's going to be Natalie's job. But anyway, so I thought, well, if I can take things that are like this, but not overdo the fats until I bring my fats up where it's a little bit easier to do, because otherwise you're just eating chicken all day and it's
Yeah.
Yeah, if you're not eating chicken all day, then protein can be lots of fun. But
like
if you can get
yeah, I don't mind chicken, but it's like I like chicken thighs and I like turkey. I like the dark meat, and that
Me
has a
too.
little more fat in it. So yeah.
Yeah, chicken
Anyway,
breast. Not my favorite.
yeah.
I'm excited. I did that leg of lamb, and it's so good. I kept seeing you post it. I'd never bought it. I never really see it. And then they had it on sale at Sprouts the other day.
Mm.
and it was so good. It's
Get it
so
when you
delicious.
can.
Mhm. And I've been giggling because I'm like used to like where I would slice off a little tiny bit of that extra fat, and I like hear your voice in my head. It's like, I already tracked it. I'm eating it.
Yeah.
I'm gonna enjoy this fat.
I love it.
Well, I got
Oh, go ahead, Jen. Oh, she froze.
She froze.
It happens.
I gotta head out to work out, so I'll see you
Yeah,
guys
bye.
next time. See you
Bye,
in the group.
Maria.
Bye.
Hi, Maria. Yeah.
I was gonna say for Jen if she comes back on, but if not, last night I talked about it on the Q&A about the pluck seasonings, which are organ meat seasonings. So you can't taste the organ meats. It tastes like the zesty garlic. I think they have a barbecue. They have a few different ones. But I have the packet. I have a packet I got at a farm nearby. Tori, I don't know if you've ever been to Sally Fallon's farm. She's the founder of Weston A. Price Foundation, or one of the founders. She owns a farm. I forget the name of her farm. Oh, P.A. Bowen Farmstead. It's like 2 hours away, I think. We went and visited there, and we got the pluck there, and it was pricey. I probably should have seen if they had a sale for KetoCon because they were there. But I have a packet, and I like to do that. I'll just sprinkle it on stuff because I'm not a fan of liver either.
But is it enough to
They have
provide you the benefits? Like,
yeah, they list like how much it is, and it's like a quarter of a teaspoon is a serving. And that's the thing with liver too. You can overdo it and get vitamin A toxicity. So you don't want to be eating a lot of liver or getting it in large amounts, but it's enough. Like if you're using a small amount of the seasoning, that you get it without having to, like, I can stand a certain amount of like pate. Every once in a while, I'll have a hankering for pate and I'll get some, but I'll get sick of it really quickly. I've got bags. I made a whole thing when we went to that farm. I also got chicken livers and I got things to make pate. I made a bunch of it. I got sick of it. I put it in the freezer and I haven't pulled it out since. So the seasonings are awesome because it's a way to
get it in without having to overdo it or super intense. Cool. Well, we lost Jennifer.
I know. So Tori, when you need protein ideas, drop into the group. We got a lot of ladies who've been doing this for a long time and they got all kinds of ideas. One of my clients, Grace, she does these meat chips regularly. She just went more ketovore, carnivore, and she posts about those and she makes some really cool stuff with those and some egg whites. She does cool stuff with egg whites too, like these kind of Asian pancake things, like with scallions and like really good stuff. So lots of ideas, but the meat chips, it's as simple as thin sliced deli meat, which is going to be low fat, high protein. Pop it in your air fryer or your toaster oven or whatever and crisp it up. And then it's like chips. Or a dehydrator if you have one, which we don't have, but we're on a moratorium of buying any more appliances.
Get your gadgets.
There's no more space. No more gadgets.
I feel you.
I mean, the air fryer will work just fine unless you need it for like long distances and stuff.
You can even do like the oven. If you've got an oven that you can adjust pretty low, just do it like 150 or
I've
200.
been meaning to try that. Doing
Yeah.
it in the oven. I still haven't tried it.
Just have to have patience because it has to be there
A long
while.
time. Yeah.
Yeah,
On a day where I have nothing to do, if I have a lot of client calls and I know I'm going to be here all day, like just
exactly. Just start it in the morning and forget about it for a few
just
hours.
like the crock pot. Yeah.
I've been doing that cottage cheese and a little bit of protein powder lately. But then I have to sometimes be like, oh no, now I'm over my, I have to like cut back 30 grams of the cottage cheese.
Protein adds up fast with those. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, wait, that's too much protein in one sitting. Like, hang on. But yeah. If you're ever in a crunch, that's a good way to fill
I'll
in.
tell you when you go too hard on the protein in one sitting.
Yeah.
I love it. It's been great to see your faces and chit chat. It always feels like just talking to girlfriends.
I know. I was thinking, so the next one is actually, I won't come to the next one. It's my birthday, and then I think we're done.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, I'm gonna do the
Yeah.
membership, but
And then you'll
My
be
birth-
getting ready to head out.
yeah, my birthday's 2 weeks from today, so 41, and then I head out the next day.
Oh my gosh. I can't believe how fast that went. That's crazy. Yeah, I'm gonna,
Yeah.
I can't believe today's the 26th. I wanted to get the membership up by the 1st, so I got work to do in the next couple of days. And then when I do that, I'm gonna start doing these weekly. So I have to figure out which day and time it's gonna be our second day and time. And I'll put that on the calendar for next week, but then we'll start, these will start being every week, so. We'll get
Yeah,
to keep
and
you installed with the membership at
I'm
least.
definitely, yeah. I'm like, I can't. I'm gonna have withdrawals. What am I gonna do? So, yeah, and hopefully, I mean, it's only 5 hours time difference
Okay, are you ahead? You're gonna be
from
ahead?
there. So, hopefully, 5 hours ahead. Yeah. So it'd be like 1
Midnight.
a.m. now there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well,
Like
the
stay
other
up
one,
late.
the second week, the every other week, I'm gonna do like earlier in the afternoon. I just don't know yet if it's gonna be a weekend or another weekday, but it'll be like noon or 1 o'clock Eastern. So that'll be probably easier for you in Portugal.
Sounds good.
I can't wait to follow along with your journey out
I
there.
know. I'm excited. I'm like, yeah. I've looked up this week. I figured out like there's 2 gyms that are like a 25-minute walk from my first Airbnb. They're like in different directions. I'm like, all right, I arrived 6 days before the family. So like I'm gonna go to each one of them one time and then make a decision about which one I want. So got a
Yeah.
plan.
Okay. Good to have that little solo getting settled time.
Get it settled. I'll figure out where the grocery store is, figure out where, the gym is and things like that. So yeah.
Oh my gosh, so excited.
I'll definitely keep y'all in the loop.
Please do.
Yay.
All right, and Tori, here we go, girl.
Yeah.
I know. Lots of resistance today. No mangoes. I had cravings, didn't eat them, eating meat. So I drank water today. And I cut the half and half. So I did everything on our list.
Oh, girl. Oh, yes. I love it. Off to the races.
Yeah.
Oh my God. You're going to feel like $1,000,000 in just a couple of weeks. Like it's not even going to take very long.
I think it was Mary Grace's photos. Somebody's photos in the group recently. I was like, what? That's it? In that much time? Okay. I can do that.
I mean, and I was talking to like, I think it was to my husband the other day. It's like, I used to go to restaurants and every time I would leave where I eat, I would just be in pain the whole way home, like just
Yes.
uncomfortable. And it's amazing that like when we go to a restaurant now, my plate is like filled with all the meat and all the things and the vegetables, and the other people's plates are like skimpy. And I don't go home in pain. I got to eat all the things, but I don't have that like, pain and inflammation. So I totally get what Natalie's saying. You're going to feel like $1,000,000 soon. So yeah.
Oh, yeah. I'm so excited for your journey.
Mm-hmm.
All
You
right,
got
ladies.
this.
Well, normally I would say see you in 2 weeks, but we'll have one of these next week. So I'll keep you posted on when that will be. And until then, I'll see you in the interwebs.
All right. See you later. Thank you. Bye. Nice to meet you, Tori.
Nice to meet you.